Question 11 of AFM BPP revision kit. So this from question 11 to 23 we're going to cover advanced investment appraisal, that is section 2 of your syllabus, right? Investment appraisal chapter. And this question is about your Black-Scholes model. We are going to value an European call option. So now let's see what is the question. It's a very small question. Part A is a calculation and part B is a theory where we have to discuss the limitations of Black-Scholes model. So question A is talking about the current share price of Cathlynn PLC is 3.5. Okay, so 3.5 is the current share price. That means your PA is 3.5. Using the Black-Scholes model, estimate the value of an European call option on the shares. Okay, so this is an European call option. You should always underline which option you are calculating. Is it an European call option? Is it an European put option? Is it an American call option? Is it an American put option? Because there are two types of options, European and American, and both of them have call and put options. So since this is European call option, directly we can just use the formula of Black-Scholes model and find it, right, on the shares of the company. So using Black-Scholes model, estimate the value of the European call option on the shares of the company that has an exercise price of 3.3. So exercise price is 3.3, right? That means your P3 in your equation formula will be 3.30 and 3 months to run before it expires. How many? 3 months. So your time, remember always whenever you're finding an European call option using Black-Scholes model or an European put option, American call, American, whatever you're calculating, you should always find the 5 variables. What are they? The share price, which is PA, the PE, that's your exercise price, the T, that's your time, the rate, the risk-free rate of interest, R, and your standard deviation. All these 5 components needs to be there for you to find the European call option. If it's not there, you need to find out. First all 5 you need to find, then you need to use the formula, you need to find out, right? So now we are going to find the time they told 3 months. So 3 months means it's here 3 over 12. It will be 0.25. Your R, your risk-free rate, here its risk-free rate is 8%, so it is 0.08. And the variance of the rate on return on the shares has been 12%. Now be very careful, they have asked variance. Are we using variance in the formula? Can we use variance in the formula? We cannot use variance in the formula. The formula says clearly standard deviation. So whenever you're given variance, you need to first convert to standard deviation. How? Because square root of variance is standard deviation. So here standard, I'm going to write standard deviation, SD, square root of variance is your standard deviation. Always whenever variance is there, you need to convert to standard deviation because you cannot use variance in your formula. But if standard deviation is given to you, then you don't have to do any changes. You can use it as it is. So here the standard deviation variance is 12. So that means it is square root of 0.12. That's your standard deviation because it is 12% they are saying. So now what's more, we have got all the 5 components of our standard of our Black-Scholes model. Now we just have to use our calculator and put the numbers and get the answer. Now here the note, they have given you the formula, what each stands for, right? This you can read later in detail if you want to. It is just the same thing which I have done, right? And here the formula is given to you of D1, right? This is the main formula how to find, and out of that how to find D1. This is the formula for finding D1 and this is D2, right? So now I'm going to write normal distribution tables are in the appendix to this kit. And part B, it is for 10 marks, part B for 5 marks. That means you have to discuss 5 main limitations to the Black-Scholes model. Main limitations to Black-Scholes model. Before I start with A, don't you think is it better that we finish with B? Because there are written points here. You can take these points for the exam when you have to learn the limitations of Black-Scholes model. You can learn it from here. The 5 points are given to you. So the first one they are saying is the model is only designed for the valuation of European call options. Yes. Even though you can find for European put, but this is mainly for European options, right? Second, the basic model is based on the assumption that the shares pay no dividends. Third, no transaction cost. It has been assumed, but in reality there are transaction costs. Fourth, it assumes risk-free rate is constant and it is known, but in reality it is not so easy to know and it will not be constant. 5. Standard deviation of returns. It assumes that it has an accurate knowledge of standard deviation and also it is constant throughout the options live, which are not true. So now part B is over. Now we are going to do the calculation of part A. I haven't given you the answer of part A because I want to do it by myself and show you how to do it, right? So first we are going to start. Whenever Black-Scholes model is there, the first thing you have to start is with D1. Before I start with D1, always write the formula, even though the formula is there in your worksheet. I know it is there in your front page, but still make it a habit of writing the formula in front of you. When you see the formula, you can see where you are going wrong, which number you are taking. So D1, first you are going to write ln, logarithm of PA. This is your share price, divided by PE. This is your exercise price, plus, right, your R. R is what? Your risk-free rate, plus 0.5. This 0.5 is fixed. And S. S is your standard deviation, which will be squared. So standard deviation squared multiplied by 0.5. Now to the multiply by T. T is your time. Divide the whole thing by S, standard deviation square root of T. That is your time. Now we just have to put the numbers. We have already got the numbers, right? So ln, that is logarithm of PA. What was our PA? It was 3.5 and your exercise price was 3.3. Don't use any, right, pounds. Here they have given the exercise price and share price as in pounds. Forget about the pounds or any currencies, whatever they give, just write it as number, right? Plus, what is your R? R was 8%, which was 0.08 plus 0.5. What is your standard deviation? It is square root of 0.12 because that's the variance. So standard deviation will be 0.346. If I round up to 3 decimal places, this will be squared. Now multiply this by time. Time is 0.25. Divide the whole thing by standard deviation, which is 0.346. Multiply by time, which is 0.25. So now don't jump directly to the answer, because most of you, when you put this long calculations in your calculator, you might go wrong. So the best possible way for you to not make mistake is do it in pieces, do it in half. Let's say first you work out what is the logarithm of 3.5 divided by 3.3, right? From there you are getting this answer, 0.059, plus do the inside bracket portion, which is 0.08 plus 0.5 multiplied by 0.346 square. That will give you, and write it in a bracket only so that you know and you don't make a mistake. And outside it is 0.25, and multiply this by 0.346 into square root of 0.25, which will be 0.173. Now it's easy to work out. It will be, don't forget your BODMAS. Here on your numerator, your multiplication will be first and then your addition. That means first you will multiply 0.14 by 0.25 and then add with 0.059. Then divide by 0.173. Right? Just check with your calculator, are you getting this answer? So it is 0.54. I'm going to write a single highlight. It's not done. We need to find ND1. Before that, let's find D2 also. Right? So D2 is, this is the formula for D2, D1 minus 10 T, right? So D2 is, what was my D1? 0.54 minus, right? If you want to be very correct, right? Then I'm not going to do the rounding up of the standard deviation. I'm going to take it as it is. So the standard deviation was square root of 0.12 and time is 0.25. Multiply both. Because s is square root of 0.12 only, right? I'm taking as it is. I'm not taking the rounded figure to get more accurate D2. So now my D2 will be 0.54 minus 0.17, which will be equal to 0.37, right? So this was my first step. Now what I have to find? I have to find ND1 and ND2 using normal distribution table. So ND1, if I have to find, whenever this N is here, standard normal distribution table, you need to use that table, right? So here ND1 and ND2. So that will be N1 or D1 was 0.54 equal to, and D2 was N 0.37. Make sure that your D1 and D2 are always round up to 2 decimal places. Otherwise, you cannot use the normal distribution table. To use the standard normal distribution table, your D1 and D2 has to be rounded up to 2 decimal places only. Not 3, not 1, but 2. So that's why it is 0.54 and 0.37. Now, this both figures, if you see 0.54 and 0.37. Okay, we'll first use the table and find the value, right? So 0.54, I have also have this table. So 0.54, this is how you have to do. First, your 0.54, your this has to start from this. Start from here, from this, to find the first decimal place, and your second decimal place will start like this. First decimal place, second decimal place, right? Your first decimal place will start from here, second decimal place will start from here. So first one was 0.54, so 0.5, look for 0.5, this one, and 0.004, it is this one, so it is, and this is this one, so 0.54, so this will be your answer. And for 0.37, it is this one, and 0.07 is this one, and it is this one. If you see both the number, right, just write both the number here. 0.2054 plus 0.1443, you have to add 0.5 to both. Why is that? Because both these numbers are positive numbers, they are more than 0. If something is more than 0, you have to add 0.5. It is positive number, they are positive numbers, you have to add 0.5 to both always. If it's a negative number, you have to deduct the number from 0.5. So this will be 0.7054, 0.7443. Sorry, 643, I'm sorry. So now you have to use the Black-Scholes formula. What is that formula? What is that formula? This formula we are talking about. We are talking about this very first formula. This formula we have to use. Right? So using that formula, your call option will be equal to your share price multiplied by your ND1, which now we have got as 0.054, minus your exercise price. Your exercise price is 3.30 E, multiply by, right, e to the power minus R, which is 0.08, RT, T is 0.25. Multiply it by ND2, 0.6443. Right? First you have to solve the entire equation. You have to solve inside bracket and then multiply by 0.0443. Right? So it is 2.47 minus 2.08. It will be equal to 0.39. That's it. This is the value of the call option. That's it you have to do. They didn't ask anything else. So you have discussed the limitations of Black-Scholes model. You have also given the value of the call option. That's it. You basically, here in this question, they are testing whether you know how to use the Black-Scholes model to find the European call option value or not. That's it for this question. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Please do share this with your friends who are going to give AFM in March. And thank you and take care.